and look ahead to the match. Look, I always refer to this as a heavyweight fight, right? It's like Ali Frazier. It's Allen and Mahomes. We get to see them at least once a year, it feels like, and usually in the playoffs as well. Since 2020, their first meeting, the Bills are 4-1 in the regular year, 0-4 in the playoffs. Buffalo's defense has been the issue. Bills have allowed 14 more points per game in the playoff meetings compared to their regular season matchup. So the question, Peter Schrager, is we all understand these are teams that are about January. I mean, that's when we will decide how their season was. So what, to you, is at stake this Sunday?
I think so much is riding on this game for the Buffalo Bills. Psychologically, yes, we've talked about that at length. I also think the home field advantage is playing a significant role here when you go to the playoffs. We've seen the Chiefs hold serve at Arrowhead. You don't want to go in there, obviously, during January football. It gives the Bills another shot and another edge if they can get that 1 seed, if they can beat the Patriots in the AFC East. To me, this matters long-term as much as it does just psychologically in the short term because these are two playoff teams. They are. No matter what happens from here to then, they will make the playoffs. If this game is a divisional round or an AFC Championship game in Arrowhead, I find it very hard to see the Bills suddenly finding a way to win that game.
Before the season began, this was the season of Buffalo, and I feel like it stopped being that almost immediately. Are they not as good?
Well, they've been
as we think they.
Think about Detroit on their defensive side last year. I mean, they've had a ton of injuries on the defensive side of the ball, and they're not playing well on that side of the ball. And so you just saw the stats in the regular season. They're giving up 20 points a game against the Chiefs. They give up 34. It's not Josh Allen's side of the ball that struggles in the playoffs. So if we're talking about what are our weaknesses, the Bills need to figure this part out against the Chiefs this week of what do we need to do well to get prepared for when we do face them come playoff time.
I think there's two things with Buffalo. We've talked about the defense at length, right, especially the run defense, and their ability to rush the passer, and everything that they've done from a personnel perspective is to deal with Patrick Mahomes come playoff time. The other point, I remember asking Josh Allen this, was what's the next level for the offense? It's the outside explosive passing game down the field. They can run the football against anyone. They're the best offensive line in football. But when they have to throw it and they have to produce those explosives, is Khalil Shakir enough?
Yeah.
Because is Josh Palmer going to come along? They have to get someone else on the outside to be able to stretch the field vertically. Because I think their offense is becoming a little bit more condensed now with this running game, and Josh can only do so much.
Shakir made a great play last week in explosives, but I think to your point, it's not only the ability to make the plays, it's the ability to threaten to make those plays.
Sure.
And that's when I understand that we have to respect what Brandon Beane's done so far with this offense. But they don't have a guy that on Game Plan Wednesday where we all walk in and we say, where's this guy?
Right.
We got to protect him.
Traveling with him.
You need that complement to your rushing attack, and I think they want Coleman to come along and be that, but he hasn't been it yet. So
all the conversation in Buffalo right now is like, where are the deep passes? Where's the deep passing game on this team? Where's that Josh Allen? What makes him so good? That deep threat. I will say, Psyche, I'm always, because I covered the Bills before since Bean has got there. I feel like when they're counted out, I actually think they're better. Like I actually think psychologically the Bills play better when nobody believes they can do anything.
It's the matchup of, to me, it's the matchup of the NFL season. We're on a Week 9 watch. Peter, what are you watching this week?
I know all eyes were on Lamar or Huntley, but gosh, I saw a thing that I recognized. That was a Ravens defense, and it showed up last weekend against the Chicago Bears. Ravens defense got Roquan Smith back. He looks tremendous. Alohi Gilman is now playing safety, meaning that Kyle Hamilton can be the chess piece we expect him to be. And when they needed it most, right here, Nate Wiggins made the play of the season, an interception that would lead to a touchdown. I don't know if it's Ed Reed and Suggs and Ray Lewis just yet, but I saw something that looked like a Ravens defense.
And they need it. Kmart, what are you watching Week 9?
Different AFC North team. Can the Steelers actually upset Jeff's Colts? This would be the kind of game that the Steelers would win, where we'd be like, wait, how did they just beat the Colts? This defense has been disappointing over the last two games. 922 yards given up in the last two games. They've given up 30 points 4 times, and they've only played 7 games. So they need, this is quite a test for them. But I'm going to be looking to see if they can pull it off.
It's a great weekend slate. That's a very interesting game. Neek, obviously, Casey and Buffalo. What are you watching for?
Oh, it's a measuring stick game for the Bills right now. I think they've had some surprising losses, and this defense has been kind of poor so far this season. But I think we forget all that. If that O-line can pave the way in the rushing attack and they can get a win against Kansas City, we start to forgive some of those previous things, and I think they start to believe in themselves again. The way that this season started, the Bills were one of the favorites. They had an easy schedule. This offense was figured out. The defense will create turnovers. None of those things have kind of come to fruition as consistently as expect from a good team.
So sometimes in sports conversation, we try and dumb things down, make it as simple as we can. Let's smart things up a little bit here. So you were a part of a rivalry that reminds me a lot of this, right? Chiefs, Bills, Allen, Mahomes. You were part of that. Colts, Patriots, Brady, Manning.
Yeah.
The playoff games, there were so many of them. And obviously those mean everything.
Right.
So what do the regular season games mean? I mean, beyond seeding, which we all understand is important,
it's still enormous.
What do they mean?
You're gleaning the information for what it's going to look like in the future, right? You're figuring out what's their weak spot and how are we going to exploit this, not only for that game, but in the future, right? Because you know it's about matchups. Like when you watch people play other opponents, you can't always take something because you don't do similar things. So you're seeing, hey, this is what they wanted. The Patriots, how they wanted to play Peyton Manning, right? They wanted to play rush 3, drop 8, or whatever their formula was for that time. That's what these teams have to see. And I would say from the Bills side, which is from the Colts side, when the Chiefs keep getting their number, right? The Patriots kept getting our number. We realized physicality in the run game were going to be kind of the way that we had to open that up. It would open up the pass game, but we had to be physical. That's what Buffalo has done. They go get a good offensive line. They got James Cook. You have to put pressure on him because not only are you being able to score points, but you're keeping Mahomes off the field. Very similar to how we had to play Tom Brady and that Patriots team.
I guess I get it. And all of that is great. What I'm trying to get at is the Bills keep beating them in the regular season and then losing in the playoffs. So I've got people. Chris Russo yesterday said the Bills need to win this game because Josh Allen, he never gets it done. But the point I'm trying to make here, as I take myself into a terrible Mad Dog imitation,
I thought it was pretty good.
It was good, Greeny. It was good.
If they beat them in the regular season, like I don't even know what psychological difference it makes. We keep beating them and then we keep losing.
However, what you're not asking is on the other side.
Okay, yeah.
If they lose to them.
Okay.
So I think that beating them consistently in a regular season does help. It's something.
Yes.
It's better than losing to the regular season. And to Jeff's point, you learn what they think of you.
Right.
Because you see, you get a look at their entire game plan. You learn where they think you're weak, how they think they can take advantage of you. And that gives you, I think, the advantage going into the postseason. It hasn't worked out for them for whatever reason. We can go back to those games and point to single plays here and there.
That's right.
It's not because the Chiefs were like definitively better than them every single time. And I think part of that, being able to be competitive in those situations, comes from showing yourself and showing them that we can beat you.
You were with the Bills last week and you were there trying to break up a fight.
Yeah.
Were they already talking about Kansas City?
No. A lot of guys in the locker room, I talked to Dan on the field about, how critical was it to get this win as you turn the page and look at Kansas City. He's like, we're not even focused on Kansas City right now. Obviously, you know that their whole season is we're looking at Kansas City.
Right.
But here's the thing. Going into that game, I talked to players like Greg Russo about their run defense and how they were second worst in the NFL in stopping the run, and they were going up against Rico Dowdle, who to that point had been a monster. Well, they shut them down, and two guys, Larry Ogunjobi and Michael Hoyt, came off of suspension to join the Bills defensive line, and that did do something. Now they've lost Ed Oliver. So when you're looking at the pieces that they have, their run defense isn't fixed, but I was encouraged based off of how they performed, and then you add in the James Cook element. They're 10-1 when James Cook goes over 100 yards. So I think the Bills are in a good spot.
One of the pressure points in Buffalo, whether it be on talk radio or all offseason, was they don't have that number one wide receiver.
Yeah.
They don't have that guy that can take the top off. And if you're going to be in a shootout with the Kansas City Chiefs, can you rely on just giving it to James Cook? Can Shakir do it? And I've spoken to Brandon Beane, the GM of the Bills, several times. Their whole mantra is everybody eats. Everybody eats. And they invested their money in the offensive line, they invested their money on defense, and they invested their money in a quarterback and a running back. That said, if they're going to keep up with this Chiefs offense, which looks electric right now, like they look like they were in 2021, 2022, Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman
is the one that really wins.
These guys, someone needs to step up because Kincaid's banged up. You can't just rely on your tight end. And we know that Josh Palmer got hurt a couple of weeks ago. So it's like one of these guys needs to step up if you're going to score it. I think it's going to be a shootout in this game.
Yeah, when I look at strategies, though, like from the Bills' perspective, in my opinion, a shootout is not the direction you want to go.
They don't want to go there.
Right. You don't want to go that way. It's going to be tough to win. And Mahomes, for whatever you think about how good he is, if he's the greatest ever, the dude don't lose when it comes to shootout time. He finds ways to get the ball last, even in miracles. I mean, we saw it in playoff games, miracle stuff. So
I got Eduardo standing by. We'll come back. Wow, this week.
I got a different running back, James Cook.
Oh, yeah.
Buffalo Bills, single-handedly beat the Carolina Panthers by himself.
Insane.
216 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, including a 64-yarder and a 21-yarder. The Bills are 10-1 when James Cook rushes for 100 or more yards. I don't know why they would go one single game without feeding that man, because he is sick.
Looky, here comes Cookie, as our friend Rex would say. So Cook and the Bills have a tough test ahead on Sunday. This is the sort of annual heavyweight matchup between Josh Allen and the Bills and Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And Chris Mad Dog Russo yesterday says he believes the stakes are much higher on one side.
Buffalo needs to win this game. Forget the division. They need psychologically. They lost to Kansas City last year at Arrowhead. They need to go out there and beat the Chiefs to feel good about themselves, to give them the idea that they are a major threat to win the conference.
I mean, I don't understand why they don't ever do it. They can't. We need Josh Allen to step up in this situation. Yeah, anybody. He never goes into Kansas City and beats them. Dominique, do Josh Allen and the Bills need this game for psychological reasons?
I mean, I think it's less so about their idea of knowing that they can beat the Chiefs, but this season was supposed to be set up for the Bills.
Right.
Yeah. Preseason, we talked about how easy their schedule was, how they would dominate everyone, and they've been looking kind of uncertain. The one thing they have that I feel sure about, that offensive line, man. That offensive line is playing well, which is allowing Cook to have big games, but the defense, man, the defense is so scary. So I do think this is going to be a big test for their defense against this new-look Chiefs offense.
You're obviously kissing up to Jeff Saturday with your offensive line conversation, but Jeff, we had a real good conversation this morning before we came on about the similarities between this matchup, the Chiefs and the Bills, and Allen and Mahomes, and something that you lived in, which was your team with Peyton and the Colts against Brady and the Patriots, and how long it took you guys to finally get over that mountain, and the similarities. And so what does a game like this mean?
It's enormous. And then when you think about how important for us, it was important because home field advantage was probably going to rely on this game, right? Whoever won this, we're going to go there. We're going outdoors for us there and indoors at home if we win that. But it was even more than just where we were going to play, where the 1 seed was going to be. It was about gleaning as much information as you could, because to your point, they kept beating us, right? They put us out in the divisional round. They put us out in the AFC Championship game, right? Like these are good teams. No difference than what's happening with the Bills and the Chiefs. And at some point, you got to take care of business, right? And we finally got that done, beating them in the AFC Championship game. But it's games like this where you figure out, okay, how do they beat us, and what is our response? Klecko with the tud. I got a little tud in
Look at Jeffrey. Look at him.
You're looking a little thick in that picture.
You see my man Will Ford kicking his back. I see it too. But as we talk about this, we realize, and I think this is where I see the greatest similarity. How we ended up taking the Patriots down was ultimately running the football and being physical with them, right? Same for what the Bills need to do with the Chiefs. Because not only are you using that offensive line to push them around, but you're keeping Mahomes and an explosive offense off the field. You're not going to ever stop. We were never going to stop Tom Brady, right? Like nobody did. You understand that. So what is your philosophy? I think that's the most important part of this game for the Bills, is figuring out what can we take to the next game when we play them when it really counts.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. Look, lines of scrimmage, right? I mean, look, that's what Buffalo's going to do. They have the best offensive line in all in football. I can assure you this. Brandon Beane, the general manager, every single thing that they have done since Patrick Mahomes came onto the set, as far as being with the Chiefs in the AFC, is designed to try and beat Kansas City.
Yes.
And it usually starts with pass rush, because they know that that's what they need the most of. That's why they had acquired Von Miller. That's why they went out and got Joey Bosa. Every single guy that they bring onto this roster on the defensive side is, how can we neutralize number 15? I think them losing this game in Buffalo this year to this football team, meaning the Chiefs, given how they started the year, although they are on the come up right now, I think it'd be a devastating blow to them, quite honestly.
Yeah.
Because look, we know that the postseason is what matters with Buffalo, but every battle against Kansas City is very telling. It's a measuring stick game every single time. Every time.
I just have a question. We're talking about psyche. Josh Allen is 4-1 against Mahomes in the regular season.
Right.
Except he's 0-4. His team is 0-4 in the playoffs.
Right.
So beating him in the regular season has nothing to do with the playoffs. So I don't understand how the inverse is devastating. If they lose this game, it means, oh, well, what are they going to do?
Well, it's an interesting point.
I think it's this. Look, even though we know that you still have to play the regular season, right? And see, right now, I think if you lose and how you lose is very important. So, for instance, when they went down to Atlanta and Atlanta ran through them defensively, just a couple of weeks ago on Monday Night Football, That was telling to me.
Yeah.
Because see, even though now they have bounced back, that's still in their mind right now. Is that a problem for us? Is this run defense going to be an Achilles heel for us come November and December? Because for every team, it usually is. And Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier went off in that football game. So don't think that they haven't forgotten that.
Yeah.
Because they haven't forgotten it. It is something they're going to have to address. Every win matters.
Let's not forget about this, even outside of these two teams. But the Chiefs having four, if the Chiefs lose this game, they got 4 losses.
Right, yeah.
They've lost to the Chargers. And the Bills the same way. They've already lost to the Patriots. There's a lot going on in this game outside of just these two teams they got to think about.
I look at Allen. Obviously, it's a regular season game, and we know the playoff game is going to be more significant. But this was supposed to be his year. And when you talk about knocking on the door, he got the MVP last year. They start off 3-0. The Chiefs start off 0-2. It's like that loss against Atlanta was really little-eye-opening. So was the loss against the Patriots because that was at home.
Yeah.
And now you've got this pesky little brother, and I hate to call any Patriots fans a little, but here they are, and they're getting all this heat and all this love, and they look like a real viable contender in the AFC East. It's almost like we have to win because of the Chiefs, but you also have to keep them at bay also. It's a big game for Buffalo.
And there are question marks around this Bills team right now, and I think that's what matters more than anything. Of course, if you beat the Chiefs, a lot of those losses earlier in the season feel less important.
Right.
You're like, oh, no, we are good enough. The Chiefs are always going to be a measuring stick because they go to the championship game, it feels like every year in the AFC. If they beat the Chiefs, I know it doesn't change their record, but it makes that Atlanta loss feel a little less consequential.
Yeah. Final thing, just because it came up in the meeting this morning and I liked it, Kimberly had the Bills and Panthers this past week, and Buffalo won that game coming off their bye, won that game comfortably, looked good, everything set up for the Chiefs. But then after the game, there was a little bit of a skirmish, and you were right in the middle of it.
Yeah, man, I almost had to throw bows in there, too, between Deion Dawkins and A'Shaun Robinson. They're drawn. I was right there. There I go, my little blazer. Because I'm waiting to talk to Deion post-game on the field, and they just get into war of words. And afterwards, I said to Deion, I'm like, what happened? He goes, he looked at the scoreboard. He said, 40-9. I don't know, 40-9. But obviously emotions were tough. But I also asked Deion in the aftermath of all this about their upcoming game against the Chiefs. And he was like, honestly, we want to savor this win for 24 hours. We haven't even thought about the Chiefs. But this is an important game, I understand. But at the same time, the Bills, they got a lot of things to figure out, and I don't know if just losing to the Chiefs now signals their season is done.
My man Robinson getting held by a receiver. You don't really want that action, boss. You don't really want that action. And you get held back by a little dude.
No, man. And he popped the helmet off.
Yeah. Don't ever take the helmet.
Leave that on. You got an advantage.
Yeah, 100%. Take every advantage you got.
I admire Kmart for standing that close to it. That's one of those moments I'm like, where's the media relations director here? Someone, I need some sort of security. All right,
take your helmet off.
Coming up,
I mean, you know what I'm saying? But hear this out. Why isn't Jonathan Taylor being mentioned as an MVP candidate? Yeah. Why? When you look at his statistics all year, he's first in yards and first in touchdowns. Promoted the Indianapolis Colts into relevancy with the addition of Indiana Jones and Cole. But when you start to see Jonathan Taylor and the type of runs, missed tackle, another missed tackle, jug, touchdown. Like when you look at that type of performance, I know the MVP is always going to be favored or catered to the best quarterback in the league. Mm-hmm. But now we need to kind of broaden that span to say who's making the biggest impact on their team. And it's Jonathan Taylor, and it's not even close.
Let me answer the question first in terms of why Jonathan Taylor is not being mentioned. Because he's been there for years, and he's been a stud for years, and they ain't got them no damn place. They were 8-9 last year. They had a losing record a couple of years before that. That's the reason why. So what happens is unfortunately, Daniel Jones comes there, and you're getting stellar quarterback play. And because you're getting that stellar quarterback play, Indianapolis has gone from mediocrity to being the team with the best record in the entire National Football League.
Yes.
So that's the reason, that's the answer to that question. Now, that doesn't mean that you ignore Jonathan Taylor. It doesn't mean that you don't pay attention to it, but it does mean that you just sit up there and say, look, this is the importance of the quarterback position. It's a reminder of it. It's unfortunate. You know, it really, really is. Because Jonathan Taylor's that dude. He's that stud. As far as I'm concerned, he's Saquon and Derrick Henry last year. That's what he's doing this year. He's just been absolutely spectacular, and major props to him. But what do you say about Indiana? You say about Indianapolis. They got an offensive line, arguably the best in football. They got 3 different wide receivers that can do 3 different things. You got one that'll take you deep. You got one that specializes in the slot receiving. You got another guy. You just look at them, and then you look at Jonathan Taylor. Then you look at the balance on the defensive side of the ball. You look at Steichen coming over from Philadelphia as a coordinator. He's your head coach, and now you know he can coach. So you're looking at them being a well-rounded, well-oiled machine collectively. And Jonathan Taylor is taking his stuff to new heights because he's got the benefit of having those people by his side for a change. That's how you're looking at it.
Let me say something. Well, because like a lot of national awards,
okay,
it's national because what do you do on the national stage?
Okay.
We're not used to seeing the Indianapolis Colts on the national stage. So therefore, you see the Patrick Mahomes always thrusted as odds. You see Josh Allen, the Lamar Jackson always thrusted in odds because they've earned the right to be on the national stage. Well, now we're about to really see a different type of Indianapolis Colts moving forward because they are going to get a lot of those games flexed. Now, for Jonathan Taylor, you've mentioned so many different things, but I'm here to say, but he's been the guy and haven't had a respective person or a competent quarterback to really allow him to shine even more.
Right.
So you punish him because he's been doing his job all the while?
But the word punish is it's selective, and here's why. Because if somebody was acting like the brother couldn't ball and he wasn't a stud until this season, you'd have a point.
Right.
We've always recognized he was a stud, but he didn't have the help.
Yeah.
Now he got the help, and they're the best team in football.
For sure.
So because they're the best team in football, why are they the best team in football? Because you finally got a quarterback.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Remember, what happened to Indy? Andrew Luck abruptly retired, and they were struggling for years to find that replacement. So they were middle of the road. They were good, but they weren't great. They weren't going to go but so far because you didn't have a quarterback. And all of a sudden, you got a quarterback, and now they're the best team in football.
Right.
It's just showing you the importance of it. So I would say to you, I wouldn't have a problem with Jonathan Taylor being the MVP. But then what do you say about Daniel Jones and what he's been able to do? Who, by the way, we thought his career was over. We thought he was done. We were like, get the hell up out of here. You ain't ready for this thing. Goodbye. And he's gone from that to being a legit MVP candidate.
Yeah.
That's how we're looking at him now.
I want to bring it back to Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. Stephen A., who would you take, though, as MVP right now between those two?
Between who?
Between Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen.
I would say Patrick Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Patrick Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, well, y'all can do all y'all want. Y'all heard what I said. I ain't stutter. Let me tell you something right now. Listen. At some point, you just have to. Xavier Worthy gets hurt on the very first play of the game of the season in Brazil.
Yep.
Rashid Rice started the season out suspended. Mm-hmm. They couldn't run the football with Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. Travis Kelce clearly has taken a step back in terms of father time, attrition. Not that he's not still great, future Hall of Fame and all that stuff, but he ain't what he used to be, damn it. We all know this. All of those components, along with the residue of a very thorough ass whipping in the Super Bowl, by the Philadelphia Eagles, that is what Kansas City walked into this season with and started out 0-2.
Yeah.
And Patrick Mahomes was leading them in rushing, leading them in passing, leading them in touchdown runs, holding them afloat until these cats got back together. They won 5 of their last 6, and everybody and their grandmama knows. I don't give a damn where you playing at in the AFC. The road to the Super Bowl is going to go through Patrick Mahomes. You're going to have to deal with that man.
Yeah.
Josh Allen knows it. Lamar Jackson knows it.
Everybody
knows it.
Yeah.
And knowing that, he's still performing the way that he's performing.
For sure.
You're damn right you say that.
But I'm going to take it in second what you said in Patrick Mahomes, and here's my reason. And it's given a different perspective. When you look at the wins that the Buffalo Bills have had this year, those wins came with a collective overall record of the teams that they beat 10-29.
Okay.
They beat the Baltimore Ravens, And survey says they were who we thought they were. They were not a good team then.
Right.
They're still potentially not a good team now, depending on how Lamar Jackson plays or their defense played. They beat the New York Jets. They beat the Miami Dolphins. They beat the New Orleans Saints. They lost to the New England Patriots, ATL, as well as winning in Carolina. So when you start to see, like, Josh Allen's case of winning the MVP, now it doesn't look as pretty as you thought it was. It's a lot of makeup in Beijing on that hairline.
Not the Beijing. Not the Beijing.
So that's my point. When Patrick Mahomes is winning, he's beat some contenders, and he's been in every single game because of his play. And that's something that you have to consider.
Let me say this, too. I'm a bit biased against the Buffalo Bills. I'm sick of them. I'm sick of them. And I'm going to tell you why I'm sick of them. I just want to read some stats to y'all for a second here. This is the Buffalo Bills ranking since 2020. 5 division titles in 5 years. 66 regular season wins, second only to Kansas City 71. Number 1 scoring offense in the National Football League. Number 1 scoring defense in the NFL. 7 postseason wins, second only to Kansas City's 13. 0 Super Bowl trips. 2 AFC championship games. At some point, you got to get it done.
Yeah.
But it goes
It goes through Kansas City. Exactly.
At some point, you've got to do it. I believe that the Buffalo Bills, it's one of those situations where you should want Kansas City so bad, it would actually disappoint you if you didn't have to beat them to get to the Super Bowl.
For sure.
Yeah.
You want them.
You want that type of
You
stuff.
want them.
Look.
That is the kind of smoke that the Buffalo Bills should be insisting upon and asking for, because that's the only way we're going to believe in them.
Yeah.
It really, really is.
I mean, 0-4 in the postseason against the Chiefs. So, I mean, I don't know if they really want that smoke.
You got to want it.
You got to want it.
If you want to win, you're supposed to want the smoke.
You do. You want the smoke, but
You're
they
right.
have not been able to get through that smoke in Kansas City. How we feeling, guys, in here? Guys, the energy in here. Y'all taking Patrick Mahomes or y'all taking Josh Allen? Let me hear it from Patrick Mahomes.
No, they tired of
They
Patty.
not.
Patty Mayonnaise don't get no love in Philly.
How about Josh Allen? Y'all taking Josh Allen?
That ain't no better.
The only thing that I would say about this crowd with Patrick Mahomes and the y'all do remember y'all won, y'all kicked their ass, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like you lost.
No.
Not like you don't have to be that way towards them
What?
because you already beat them.
What?
You know what I'm saying? It ain't like you lost to them. You beat them.
Yeah. They say this BTA.
Oh, BTA.
Yeah.
You know what?
Censored.
You ain't had to go there. All right, let's get to
by the second half, so the Chiefs were going up against backup offensive linemen for most of the game, and I don't think they took advantage of it as much as they should have. There were some missed sacks. George Karlaftis had a great opportunity to get one on Mariota and just missed it, but they did clean things up better in the second half. The defense overall played really well, and they did a solid job against Deebo Samuel and Terry McLaurin, who are both incredibly dangerous after the catch. They stifled Zach Ertz too. He didn't do much of anything in this game. I truly believe this Chiefs defense is starting to hit their stride at the perfect time. And if they can add an edge rusher before the trade deadline, like I've been saying, this unit could be absolutely scary come playoff time. Marcus Mariota and the Commanders, without Jaden Daniels, gave it their best shot, but it just wasn't enough. Mariota finished 21 of 34 for 213 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. And credit where credit is due, he kept this game competitive in the first half. Going into halftime tied 7-7 with the Chiefs. That's incredibly impressive for a backup quarterback on the road in a hostile environment like Arrowhead Stadium. I'm sure a lot of Chiefs fans were getting those flashbacks to 2017 when Mariota came into Arrowhead with the Titans in the playoffs and beat Kansas City, so there was definitely some nervous energy in that building at halftime. But the second half, Mariota had no answers whatsoever. The Chiefs defense figured him out. They started getting pressure, they forced mistakes, and Washington just couldn't move the ball at all. The Commanders' offense has weapons all over the place, even without Daniels. Deebo Samuel, who they traded for from the 49ers this offseason, he's dangerous with the ball in his hands. Terry McLaurin, who had been out for 4 weeks with a quad injury, he came back for this game, and he's one of the best receivers in the NFL. Zach Ertz, who's a crafty veteran tight end that knows how to find the soft spots in coverage. But none of them could make a difference tonight. The Chiefs secondary locked them down. Deebo didn't get going. Terry McLaurin Warren had that one catch down the sideline, but otherwise was quiet. Zach Ertz was a non-factor. The Commanders just couldn't generate any offense once Kansas City made their halftime adjustments. And that's got to be frustrating for Washington because they played so well in that first half. They had a real chance to pull off an upset, but they just couldn't sustain it for 4 quarters. Thinking about it, I really wonder what this game would have looked like with Jaden Daniels playing, because he's a special talent and he makes that offense go. But Mariota did his best. He gave them a chance, and it just wasn't enough against a team as talented as the Chiefs. Let's get into the full offensive stats from this game, because there was a lot of production spread around. On the ground, Isaiah Pacheco had 12 carries for 58 yards before he got hurt toward the end of the game with a leg or knee injury. Hopefully that's nothing significant, because he was pounding the rock pretty well. Kareem Hunt had 9 carries for 40 yards, but more importantly, he had 1 reception for 2 yards that went for a touchdown, so he finished with 2 total touchdowns in this game, which is huge. Patrick Mahomes had 4 scrambles for 30 yards. Rashee Rice had 2 carries for 12 yards, including that wildcat play in the red zone where he probably should have scored, but his elbow was down. Brashard Smith had 3 carries for 8 yards. As a team, the Chiefs had 30 carries for 148 yards and 1 rushing touchdown. That's solid production on the ground, especially considering how much they were throwing the ball. Through the air, Travis Kelce led the way with 6 catches for 99 yards and that touchdown that tied the franchise record. Rashee Rice had 9 catches for 93 yards and a score. Xavier Worthy had 5 receptions for 53 yards. Juju Smith-Schuster chipped in with 2 catches for 29 yards. Noah Gray had 2 for 23 yards, and Kareem Hunt had that 1 catch for 2 yards that went for a touchdown. Hollywood Brown didn't get a single target in this game. He had 0 catches. But honestly, nobody's complaining about that, because when Kelce, Rice, and Worthy are all eating like they were tonight, you don't need to force the ball to anyone else. Everybody's gotta eat, and the main guys got full. That's exactly what you want from this offense. The distribution was perfect, Mahomes was spreading it around, guys were making plays, and the offense was humming in that second half. I think this is exactly the type of balance Andy Reid wants to see from this offense, where they can run it enough to keep defenses honest, but they're still airing it out and making big plays in the passing game. Now we gotta address the elephant in the room, and that's the ball security issues and discipline problems that showed up in this game. Patrick Mahomes threw 2 interceptions. One was a great play by Marshawn Lattimore where he jumped a route and Mahomes was trying to fit one in there to Marquise Brown. They didn't have great communication on that play. The second interception was that tip pass off Travis Kelce's hands where Bobby Wagner was in the right place at the right time. The Chiefs also fumbled twice in this game, but luckily they were able to recover both of them, so it didn't cost them any possessions. But you can't have these types of mistakes, especially when you're about to play a team like Buffalo, where every single turnover could be the difference between winning and losing. Travis Kelce has got to stop tipping passes into defenders' hands. This is now the second time this season where Mahomes interception has come off a tip from Kelce. At 36 years old, you gotta catch the ball, and if you can't catch it, you gotta knock it down. You cannot keep volleying it up into the air and giving the other team free possessions. Mahomes knows it, Kelce knows it, Andy Reid definitely knows it, and I'm sure they're gonna work on that in practice this week. The penalties were costly too. Rashee Rice had that unsportsmanlike conduct for throwing the ball at a defender. Then he had a holding penalty that brought back a huge run from Brashard Smith. Those are drive killers, momentum killers, and you just can't have them. But here's the thing, and this is what makes this win even more impressive to me. The Chiefs committed all these mistakes. They turned the ball over twice. They fumbled twice. They had costly penalties, and they still won by 3 touchdowns. They covered the spread easily. It was 28-7, and they never really felt like they were in danger of losing once they got rolling in the second half. So when you win by 3 touchdowns and you commit those types of mistakes, it makes you wonder what this team could do if they clean things up, if they don't turn the ball over, if they don't have the penalties, if they execute cleanly for 4 quarters. How good can this team really be? And I think that's a scary thought for the rest of the NFL. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, they're all going to go back through the film this week and clean up those mistakes before Buffalo. I genuinely believe the Chiefs played a B or B+ game tonight. They definitely could have played better, but the scary thing is they won by 3 touchdowns with a B game. That tells you everything you need to know about how talented this team is. Special teams was an absolute disaster in this game, and that's probably the biggest area of concern coming out of this win. Kansas City had 3 penalties from the special teams unit alone, and they've now had 7 special teams penalties between just the Jacksonville game and tonight's game. That's unacceptable. You cannot keep shooting yourself in the foot like that. Jack Cochran, who got his first career interception late in the game, which was cool. He had a holding penalty on a kickoff. Every time I talk about number 43 Jack Cochran, it's not positive when it comes to special teams. The man has got to clean it up. Christian Roland Wallace also had a holding penalty, and Jeff Bassa had a block above the waist on a return, which is kind of an uncommon penalty, but it's still another flag. These penalties are setting the offense up with terrible field position. They had to go 70+ yards 4 times tonight just to score touchdowns because special teams wasn't doing them any favors. And it wasn't just the penalties, they also had huge problems covering returns. Luke McCaffrey had a massive return to open this game that gave Washington great field position right off the bat. The return coverage has been atrocious. Every time Nico Remigio is back to return a kick, it seems like someone's holding or there's some other penalty that brings it back. It's frustrating because over the last couple weeks, we'd seen improvement from this special teams unit, and I'd given them credit for cleaning things up, but tonight felt like we took 2 steps forward over the last 2 games, and now we're 1 step back. We're still 1 step in the right direction overall, but it's moving in the wrong direction when you give up penalties and huge returns like that. The only bright spot on special teams was Harrison Butker, who was perfect tonight. He didn't miss a kick, and he had that great screwball kick that screwed up the returner and caused a muffed kick that set the Chiefs up at the 1-yard line. Unfortunately, the defense couldn't capitalize on that opportunity, but it was still a great play by Butker to create that chance. Dave Toub and the special team staff, they got to get this cleaned up before Buffalo because you cannot be giving up 7 penalties in 2 games just from special teams. The Bills are too good. That game is too important. You cannot beat yourself with stupid penalties and poor coverage. Honestly, I think the special teams issues are fixable. It's just a matter of discipline and execution, but they need to fix it fast because this could cost them a game if it continues. One concerning thing that happened late in this game was Isaiah Pacheco getting hurt. He went down with what looked like a leg or knee injury toward the end of the game.